All right, everybody. It is I, your host, Corey. We're back for another episode of The Next Rep, powered by Wodify. I'm joined today by my frequent co-host, Reganne. Say hello to the people, Reganne.
Hello.
And we're also very lucky to be joined today by Mr. Ben Smith, the owner of CrossFit Krypton and former Games champion himself. Ben, thanks for being here, man. How's everything going?
Yeah, it's going well. Thanks for having me here. Looking forward to chatting. Things are going well. We're second week of the Open now. People were pretty excited about the last one, and hopefully we can keep that train rolling for a couple more weeks.
Are you guys doing Friday Night Lights and all the fun stuff?
Yes, we do our normal 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 classes in the morning, and then we have 12 o'clock class, and like people will do, and I have my Legends class at 1:30, and we'll all do the Open workouts during those times. So if people, they'll pair up and judge each other, and they'll swap off, and then starting at 3, we do like a Friday Night Lights. So it's always a good time. It's always a good day.
So, Ben, I'm going to take this opportunity for a little bit of a selfish question here, but I obviously have come to know quite a lot about CrossFit working at Wodify, but prior to working at Wodify, my CrossFit experience was zero. Okay. And Reganne's been trying to get me into it for about, 4 years now, and she's still working on it, but hasn't worked yet. So I know a lot about the industry. I respect CrossFit, but I still don't know some sort of like little intricacies type things. And I hear...
So you don't do CrossFit? You're not a CrossFitter?
I don't.
I am a Open this year.
I'm not. I've never done any Opens any years. So it's my background is... So I played
CrossFit.
You know, we talk about, I think CrossFit comes up obviously because like a ton of our customers are CrossFit. We started in CrossFit, but you know, I think what's happening now is that this is really just this section of like boutique fitness or anything outside of commercial fitness, right? And I think CrossFit is like the most obvious example of that type of gym, right? Like I would argue CrossFit's been the most successful type of non-commercial gym in history.
Okay.
Right. And I think as a result, like that's kind of the market we serve. So a lot of CrossFit, to be honest with you, I think I've learned a lot by doing this podcast, but this leads me to my selfish question. Tell me about Friday Night Lights. This is something that I've heard a lot about over the last 3-4 years, but I've never actually dove into what precisely it is. So tell me about Friday Night Lights.
I mean, look, the best way to do it is just come do it. You learn about it that way. But if I can't get you to come do it, then we do, the Open is once a year. So we'll do the CrossFit Open, and it's been 3 workouts usually for the last few years. It used to be 5. It used to be I think there was even a year where there was 6, but it's 3 workouts. You do 1 workout a week, and they'll release what the workout is on Thursday. So then on Friday, usually everybody's kind of preparing for the workout on Friday because they look at it like it's a test. So every year you have a test, and I say that if you don't do the Open, you're not a CrossFitter. So everybody that does CrossFit that says they are a CrossFitter does the Open. So that's our test on Friday, and we usually do that like running heats starting at 3 o'clock, and we'll run heats until the workout's over. So you would come into the gym, you'd sign up for a heat time, you put your name on the board, and then you'd be ready to go at that time, and the coach would be managing the class and making sure we have a judge, making sure everybody's, good and in the right position and all that, and safe, and then we do the workout. So it's your regular everyday workout, but there's a little more pressure on because it's the test that everybody's preparing for and looking forward to, each year. Some are looking forward to, some are not looking forward to it. But everybody has to do it because that means you're a CrossFitter if you do the Open.
And wasn't there some controversy a couple years ago about video? People were doing the Open workouts and there's
always controversy about video. There's always controversy about reps and depth and squat ranges of motion and all kinds of stuff. So there's always controversy. People love to complain and they love to point fingers and they love to, get attention doing those things. So yeah, that's everywhere.
Is that like an official submission? Like, can I do my Open workout limit and like theoretically qualify for the, stages that follow?
Yes, and that was one of the things that I loved about CrossFit in the beginning was there weren't many affiliates when I started, but when I did start, you could just set up a video camera and, test your workout just like everybody else does, and you could go make it to the next level of the regionals, and then you go compete in there, and if you win, you go to the games. So it was very, anybody could do it, and that's still there, so you can still submit your workout through video, but, there's a lot more people pointing a lot more fingers now, so you got to be pretty good at it.
Well,
it's easier just to go to an affiliate, and get a score judged.
It seems like, especially now with all the things that can be done with video creation and AI and this and that, it's like, oh boy, I'm a little scared to see what's going to go on the next couple of years. I think maybe I can actually make it to the games after all, Ben, if I get good enough
you
at
just need
Sora.
Invisible jump ropes and hollowed out weights and all that.
If you see me submitting a video, but there's something off about my facial expression, it's because I use ChatGPT to make my submission video.
Yeah, well, every year there was always somebody that did really well in the open, and then they'd make it to the regionals, and then they just get smashed. And it was always funny to see. Every year people did it, and they didn't recognize for whatever reason. And you kind of knew then. You're like, all right, that person wasn't really doing something right in the open,
Well, but let's kind of hit rewind here. So before the games, before your affiliate ownership, before the explosion of CrossFit, like what was the initial thing that pulled you into the world of fitness? Was it an athletic background? Was it just happenstance? Like, what was that initial catalyst energy that got Ben Smith into the world of fitness?
For me, fitness, like working out and stuff, started when I was 12. Something like that. It was a long time ago. I'm the oldest of 3 boys, so I have 2 younger brothers. We were always doing sports. My dad was into lifting weights and doing fitness and running PT for the military stuff. So I guess we started getting involved there. My brother was a gymnast. I saw them do gymnastics. My other brother played soccer and baseball and football and all kinds of stuff. I played mostly baseball, but I did all the sports up until high school, But I really kind of got drawn to fitness in general, and just like trying to push myself to see what I was capable of through my dad, really, who would kind of challenge us to do certain physical feats like pull-ups or running, or there's always competitions here or there, around places. Like they used to do runs and PT stuff for military things and sport competitions, and I always loved that stuff. So I guess for me I started kind of thinking about it then when I was 12, like, okay, I should probably pay attention to what I eat, because I know food matters, and you probably shouldn't eat as much junk food. It's like, starts really, really simple. It's like, hey, maybe you don't go to McDonald's all the time, and just try to eat a little bit better. But then in high school, I started taking it a little bit more seriously and found CrossFit online. And kind of since then, it was always like the thing that really drew me to it was the CrossFit Games, was like the idea that you could be like this super athlete, kind of be able to be good at everything. And I just thought it was really cool. I was attracted to it, drawn to it, and I liked the mental side, like the pushing yourself mentally side, and I thought it was applicable to a lot of things. So, yeah, that's a long-winded answer, but I started when I was 12, and then picked up in high school when I found out what CrossFit was, fell in love with, .com, and following the workout of the day, and listening to Glassman, and listening to Coach Bergner, and listening to all the guys that were there online at the time, learning whatever I could, kind of dove into it and drank the Kool-Aid.
Was your dad also doing it? When you started, did you guys start together with his military background?
Yeah, he had a friend that did it.
Okay.
But he always did. It's funny. He always did workouts like that. Like he was always they were always doing like circuit. They always did circuits, and they always did. Like I remember, I have this vague memory. I have vague memories as a kid, like of just being in the gym and my dad working out and him doing like double unders. And like nobody did double unders. Yeah, with
That's crazy.
like the big fat rope, and doing double unders and running sprints and doing push-ups and burpees and things like that. So that kind of was always there in my life, like even back in my earliest memories.
Super rare, I think, for people of our generation to have parents that were so active.
Yeah, it was just odd. I say odd. It was perfect timing, for me to get into CrossFit when I did. Or for CrossFit to come around as I was growing up into it,
And then how soon after did you guys open the gym?
I opened the gym when I graduated college, so it wasn't until 2012.
Okay.
I kind of coached people like out of my parents' garage in high school, like coaching some middle school athletes and things like that, some people younger than me, and I would work out there and I'd coach some kids during the summers, and then, ended up opening the gym and coaching.
And Ben, I'm curious, this is kind of a bigger question, but I'm really interested to hear your take on it, which is, I'll draw a comparison to jiu-jitsu. So when jiu-jitsu first started, it was all about self-defense, right? It was about preparing yourself for, the would-be attacker and the street and all this type of stuff. But as it's grown as a sport, it started to become more about the sport. And one of the criticisms is that if you go down to your local jiu-jitsu gym now, a lot of the techniques that are being trained have gotten away from that original ethos. It's not really about self-defense anymore. It's about preparing yourself to compete in the sport, and it's lost some of that sort of I guess we could say, practicality to it. Do you think the same has kind of happened a little bit with CrossFit? Because, the original idea was that it was garnering fitness in all of these different modalities, right? You are truly like I know this is a buzzword nowadays, but you were a hybrid athlete, right? That was kind of the goal of CrossFit was, you're getting strength, you're getting conditioning, you're getting the whole package, right? You're a multi-skilled athlete. But now it's almost like, because of the games and because of the competition, like, it seems like maybe, and this is from an outsider's perspective, so if I'm wrong, I'm happy to hear it, but maybe that's also happened a bit there too, where it's like we have people who are preparing for the games and not quite as broad maybe a focus as it was originally intended to be, with like mastering all these different domains. And instead, it's more kind of a sport has emerged, and then you can inevitably just end up preparing for the sport and lose sight of that original philosophy. Has that happened at all, or do you think I'm off?
No, you are spot on. It's absolutely happened. I would agree everything you said was correct, and I think it happens, and I think that that's inevitable, and it's okay. And I think that CrossFit is still going to be there when all of those people circle back around in their 30s, in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and they just want to do something that's going to promote health and fitness and well-being and capability. And I think that as long as something crazy doesn't happen where like CrossFit itself blows up or whatever, I think that it's always going to be there. And, the gym's going to be here, whether CrossFit's here or not, and we're still going to be teaching the methodology, and the methodology is still going to be true. It's still going to work. It's still going to make people more capable, better than a hybrid athlete might, or better than High Rocks might, or better than marathon training might, or just swimming or whatever. We're going to put it all together and make people healthier and fitter, faster, and better than everybody else. That's what I think.
And because you were involved so early, 2012 is, as early as it gets when it comes to the CrossFit sort of phenomenon. When you look back at your early days, what did you think the sport and the kind of the community at large was going to become? And how does that measure up to what's actually transpired? Is it similar? Is it wildly different? Did it go awry? And if so, what's your kind of take on the evolution of it?
My take on the whole evolution of CrossFit has been it's something like it's kind of evolved alongside the world. So it's very much a piece of, it wasn't for a long time, like it was countercultural and it was against the grain and it was leading from the front and it was setting the bar and it was setting the standard and it was coming up with new inventive ways to get people healthy and to draw people's attention towards health and fitness and nutrition and all that. And then, probably about when Greg sold it, kind of starts fading away a little bit more towards like, hey, I'm looking for the sport here. I'm trying to get more attention. I want to make more money if I'm an athlete, or if I want to, whatever it might be, it might veer away from what's true and what's good and what it was founded for. That seemed like it kind of all happened at the same time as a lot of other things happen in the world at the same time. So like, it's like the pattern is the same. It's just like now it's being applied into the CrossFit space, which it didn't before. Like it wasn't really like that. So I think maybe it was inevitable in that sense, but I do think that we'll come back around and we'll figure out the right way to move forward, just like everybody will. It just takes some time, like veering off the path. You got to turn back, get back on the path, and then keep moving forward.
It's funny, you said the word countercultural, and this is, I can't help but think we've had a ton of podcast episodes recently with people in the MMA space. We were recently lucky enough to interview Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson recently, UFC champ, like a Mount Rushmore guy. But we kind of talked about this with him as well, which is, what do you do when a sport, like, I'm going to call it the before it was cool phenomenon? Because, I'm sure like yourself and people who were into CrossFit back in 2012, you enjoyed that countercultural part of it, right? Like, This is different. This is niche. This is for us. But what do you do when it becomes kind of mainstream and now it's on ESPN?
Well, the cool thing was, you say like it was for us. Yes, it was, but it was also one of the things that everybody knew was that it was for anybody that wanted to come do it. Like, it wasn't, all kinds of sayings like CrossFit's for everybody, but it's not really for everybody kind of thing. Like, it's for anybody who wants to come do it. We don't, what did Greg say? He said something like, we don't make CrossFitters, we find them kind of thing. Like, it's more like the people that want to come do this thing find their way to it. So there's that aspect to it. I do think anybody can do it. That's why I opened a gym.
That's why I fell in love with it. Unlike you, had no athletic background, and I got started with CrossFit in 2012. I could barely make it through my first workout. I was like laying on the floor trying not to pass out. I was in my freshman year of high school. Like, there's no reason I should have been as unfit as I was, but I loved so much that it was the first time I had shown up to do something athletic, and I was told, like, this is how you get better at it versus you don't have enough natural talent, like something like a sport where I'm like an awkward lefty that doesn't know, should I throw with my right or my left hand? CrossFit was like, let me break this down, and like, if you work hard, you can get better at this.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool, and that pattern applies everywhere, you know?
Yeah. What do you think about, I think a lot of the early day competitors like you were really deeply involved in the methodology and the community, and we've seen a big shift in that with, you know, how big competition in sport has gotten in CrossFit. Do you think that those people are missing out on a big piece of what CrossFit is by, you know, just focusing on sport?
Yeah, I mean, the sport's really cool too. It's not like it's not like it shouldn't be focused on. It's not like the people that are focusing on the sport shouldn't focus on the sport. I think that's really cool. I think they just need to know the place. They just need to know their place in all of this, you know, and that when you start making it just about them or just about the sport, then I think you do lose a little bit of the magic, because it's not about that. It really is about the fact that everybody can do it, and that look at obesity and diabetes and heart disease and the country, the state of the country, and the health of the people that we live in here. And it's like, even just around the world, everybody can use this health and fitness, and everybody can apply the same principles that they apply to their training but into their life. So I think just having that understanding is important, and just not making it all about the athletes or all about the sport, because you definitely do miss something when you do that.
Ben, if I had the metaphorical magic wand and I could wave it and I could make Ben Smith the let's call it the king of CrossFit for a year, you know, what would you do differently? Is there anything you think, like, is there something that it just screams at the top of your mind, like, this is the first thing I would do, like to reestablish or to, you know, rewrite the path that the space is on? Does anything kind of stand out there?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I mean, I guess I've thought about it, but I'm not like, I wouldn't want to be in that position, for one, because I don't think that I mean,
it's a tough job.
It'd be a tough job. Like, I don't think there's any kind of coming back from where we are right now. That's not to say it's not going to happen. Like, I do think it's going to happen. I think it's just going to take some time. I don't have all the answers. I do think that at CrossFit being countercultural like it was, I think that would need to come back. But that can't come back if they're solely focused on their image and their profits and that kind of thing. Like, if you're just solely focused on the attention and the money, the kind of thing, and running it like you would run a business. And that's, you know, it's bad to say because it is a business. And one of the biggest mistakes affiliate owners make is that they don't treat it like a business, and they'll fail.
Mm-hmm.
CrossFit really wasn't treated like that in the beginning. Like, it was treated like, hey, we have this methodology and this information here that'll help the world, and it'll help change the world, and it'll help change people's lives. And we have this thing, and it's really special, and we hold on to it, and we know its value as CrossFitters. And it feels like we lost that a little bit, but it's not like everybody lost it. It's still there. You know, and the people that have been around since the beginning still are here, and they know that, and they're sharing that every day. And it's still in the gym every day. I see it every day when I come into the gym here and hang out with people. That's what I do all day. So, you know, it's not like that's going to change. And as long as that's still around, I think you still got the cool, like the magic part of CrossFit that'll always be there, changing people's lives and making the world better. I'm
curious, Ben, when you think back on your time in the space, you've kind of worn a lot of hats. You've been we'll call it a participant, right? Just somebody who does CrossFit at his local, in this case, your own gym. But, you know, at the local gym, you've been an affiliate owner, and you've been a coach, and you've also been a competitor. Obviously, I'm sure you have tremendous memories in each of these arenas, but is there one that you cling on to the most? You're like, man, this was the part of the experience that I really cherish the most.
I mean, I've always said it. It's like the gym is the thing that's going to last. That's the thing that I enjoy the most. Like, just coming in. I don't say that I work, you know, because it doesn't really feel like a job. Like, it's really fun, and it doesn't feel like work. But I get to come in every day and hopefully try to make this the best hour of people's day that they come into the gym and get to do a workout and train. And the parallels between coming in here and going to the gym with, you know, your everyday life and just making yourself a better person all around in general. That's cool. Like, that, you can't replace that. I find a lot of value in that. Like, winning the games was awesome, and that was like my dream for 7 years before I did it, and like, it was really cool. But, you know, you get there, you get to the top, and you're like, okay, all right, you did that, now what's next? You know, you just kind of move on to the next thing, and things always morph and change. But the cool thing that's always there is the gym and the community and the people, and that you have that every day. And that's what I love the most about CrossFit.
What was the impact that winning the games had on the gym? You know, looking back on it, do you think it was a pro? Was it also potentially a con? Because maybe it brought in, you know, people who are more competition focused, and you didn't want to work with those people as much. I'm just spitballing here, but
no,
I'm just curious.
You're hitting them all. I mean, it's definitely a good thing because you get guys in the gym and you get people to come in that seen the CrossFit Games, or you know, I get in a random Uber in some random town and somebody's like, I've seen you. You were on that Netflix documentary or something. I'm like, okay,
Yep.
Do you do CrossFit? No, I just watched the Netflix documentary. So stuff like that's funny. People definitely get, you know, you get eyes on the gym. Yeah, I mean, what else was I going to say about that? No, I can't remember now. I'm blanking.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We were just talking about how winning the games affected the gym, pro or con. Sometimes, you know, positive, but I imagine it probably attracted a lot of competitors. And, you know,
what I was going to say was that it has, maybe that's one of those things you can cut out, huh? I'm sorry, I'm good. Freezing in here, and I am like trying to keep it together here. I'm freezing. Even though I'm inside, we don't have the heat on. And I'm all sweaty. Yes, what I was going to say is that a lot of the times our gym's perceived as some like competitive gym. Mm-hmm. And I've like people that have come over here, they're like, oh man, I wish I would have come over here sooner. I had this perception or whatever of you guys being a super competitive gym. And I'm like, we're as competitive as you want to be. Mm-hmm. I encourage people to compete with themselves every day, you know, because that's what I expect from them, because that's what I do for myself. That's what I did. That's how I won the CrossFit Games, was competing with myself. It wasn't, I competed against other people and I won, but I competed with myself every day, and that's what I challenge my athletes or members of the gym to do, is just to compete with themselves. And if they do that, they're going to keep making progress and keep getting better and keep setting the bar higher, and that's what we have. So we're perceived as like a super competitive gym, but like what CrossFit gym isn't a super competitive gym? You should be a super competitive gym. If you're not if you're not competing with yourself, like, and you're not doing CrossFit, like, what are you doing? You're missing something there.
One of the most competitive members of my mom owns a CrossFit gym in Florida. She was actually my elementary school librarian, and I don't know exactly how old she is. I want to say like probably mid 70s now. She is wildly competitive with herself. So competitive cool. Looks very different for every person, right. But I think every CrossFitter's got a little bit of that competitive craziness inside.
You have to have it. Yeah, I mean, and like we talked about before in the open, like if you're not really a CrossFitter, if you're not testing yourself, seeing what you can do, and then retesting it, coming back later and seeing if you've improved, you know, that's how you know if you're on the right track. Like that's one of the parts of the methodology, is that you have points of fitness, where you measure your fitness yearly or twice a year, 5 times a year, 100 times a year, however many times you want to measure yourself. And then you can track that over the course of your life. And what they say is that the person that's the healthiest is the one who has the highest fitness level over the most years of their life, right? So you have, you know, if you have imagine a 3-dimensional space where you're drawing your fitness level over the course of your lifetime, then the person that has the highest fitness level over the longest period of time is the healthiest person. Mm-hmm. And that's the theory, right? And I believe that checks out, and I'm going to be the one to try to test it, you know?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Do you feel like people, that the testing element of CrossFit gives them more purpose in their fitness than people who are kind of more aimlessly exercising for the sake of, you know, trying to stay healthy? I
think like it's hard, like aimlessly exercising. Some people do that, but you're not going to do that for long. Like you have to find something to have a target. You have to aim at something. You know, you have to have some sort of target. Otherwise, you could do it for 6 months or a year or 5 years, but at some point it's going to get old. It's going to get stale. You're going to, you know, the reason you started it might not be the reason you're still doing it anymore. I think everybody has to have an aim, and CrossFit gives people an aim. They're like, hey, here's the open every year. Come do this test. Come test yourself, see where you're at. And then you get to rank yourself against everybody else that does CrossFit, you know, which is cool, which you don't really get to do that in other sports. And then we retest the next year, you know. So testing and retesting is definitely a way that people can stay motivated. It motivates some, doesn't motivate everybody. Like some people really don't like being tested, but you know, too bad. You got to test yourself, otherwise you don't know where you're at. Like find a different reason to or motivation to tell yourself to do the open, but you got to do the open.
And I think that's a really good way for gym owners and coaches, or anybody who's working with clientele in a fitness context, to reframe competition. Because I think sometimes competition is a little bit of a dirty word for people who are new to fitness, right? Like they walk into it just like, oh, I don't want to be a in a competitive gym. I'm not, I'm not a competitor. I'm just your average Joe or Jane. This is, and maybe I haven't worked out before. I've never done it. Also, too, there's something about CrossFit, which is funny because as soon as someone participates in it, all that stress is gone. But there's always seems to be that little barrier to entry, right? This seems scary for some reason. That's why I always, again, will frame jiu-jitsu as the same thing. It's like people are scared to walk into the gym for some reason, just as they are with jiu-jitsu, as they are with CrossFit. But if that competitive atmosphere is reframed as, hey, you're not competing against Regan, you're not competing against Ben, you're competing against you. And that's a really good way to reframe that competitive atmosphere. Because if they can learn to compete with themselves, at some point maybe they can be a little more comfortable competing with others too. And that ultimately raises the level of everybody in the gym. So I just think generally as an observation, that's a really good way for gym owners to reframe that they have a competitive atmosphere in their gym.
Yeah, and for some people, they need that reframing, and for other people, they just get it. Like the people that are competitive, they just get it. They understand the reason and need for competition. But for other people, that's why they say things like, check your ego at the door. You're not going to exist in a CrossFit space for very long, like a community very long, if you have a big ego. If you're thinking you need to beat the person next to you for whatever reasons, you can do that, and I encourage people to do that. I encourage people to go on to be on the whiteboard and check the workout of the day and find somebody kind of in your striking range and try to beat them. That's the point of competition. If you don't know kind of where you should be, but competition is also a skill. Like you have to learn slowly over time. Like when you walk into the gym and you're the first time you've been there, you have no idea what you're doing. But it's like, hey, 3, 2, 1, go. We're gonna do as many burpees as you can in 7 minutes. I don't care how many you do. I just want you to get a score. Like just log a score over here on your notebook or on the whiteboard or whatever. And then in 6 months, you're gonna do CrossFit. You're not gonna do burpees every day. You're just gonna do CrossFit. And then in 6 months, we're going to come back and we're going to retest your 7 minutes of burpees. And you're going to see how many burpees you get. And watch, I bet you get 10 to 20 more burpees in 6 months. And that shows me that you're on the right track with your fitness because you're improving in that specific domain. Just look at testing like it's one of those things that it doesn't have to be super stressful. You just got to kind of reframe the thing into you want to get a data point so that you can move on later and see if you're moving in the right direction. Because if you don't know, then you kind of are wandering and exercising aimlessly, like you said, and you don't really want to do that.
Ben, when you were competing in the games, and like you said, for 7 years, your sort of singular goal was to be the games champion, did that process temporarily rob you of your love of this for a little bit? Like, did you kind of have to sacrifice the enjoyment of it just to achieve this sort of pie in the sky goal? Like, does any part of you, I don't say regret because it worked out, right? But that is the bargain you have to make with yourself. Like, it's a low percentage thing that, you did, right? But you had to make peace with it. It might have also not happened because it's very hard to do.
For sure.
So, like, does any part of you, like, what were the sacrifices that you had to make, even sort of like with your own experience of the sport and your own participation in it when you were singularly focused on winning the games?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that you have to make sacrifices to get to your. Let's say we're talking about health, right? We're talking about health over the span of your life, and 1 year might be one data point. So like, how high can I get my fitness in a year if that's the goal? I'm going to make sacrifices to get my fitness as high as possible for that year, right? That's not going to be something that I could sustain for 70 years.
Right.
For all kinds of different reasons, right? My body wouldn't hold up. It's an unrealistic schedule. People got to work. People have kids. People have stuff that they have to do. You have all kinds of things that come up, right? So the stars kind of aligned in that sense for me to be able to have the fitness level that I did at the right time for that one weekend to win the CrossFit Games specifically for that set of events. So there's all kinds of sacrifices in that regard. But would I look back and, say I wanted to change anything? No, I don't really do that with anything. I believe that everything that's happened in my life up to the point where I'm living now, I look back on it and it has to be good because it got me to where I am now, which is alive and breathing and having a successful gym and having 2 beautiful kids and a wife and, that kind of thing. So I'm in a great place and I'm thankful for everything that got me to the place that I'm at. So no, I don't regret any of that. But yes, if you wanted to reach peak fitness, you're going to have to make sacrifices to get to that peak fitness. I don't think the everyday CrossFit gym goer should be doing that. Like, I don't think they should be making, having a perfect, regimented, structured, Andrew Huberman perfect day so that you wake up in the morning and every moment of your day is planned out and it's all revolves around your 1 hour at the gym to work out for the day. I don't think that's right. Yeah, I kind of did that, but I don't think that was a very rare set of circumstances that allowed me to do that thing. I always say it was a blessing from God. It was a gift from God to be able to do that, for one, to have that opportunity, and then to win. So that's what I've always said, and I'll always stand by that one. But no, it's unrealistic to expect your everyday gym goer to make sacrifices like I did to win the games. And but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to sleep better, or it shouldn't try to adjust your diet, or like when you wake up in the morning, have some sort of routine. Like, it doesn't mean you shouldn't do those things. It just means, like, don't get obsessive crazy with them like you can, and everybody knows that you can.
One of the things that's always fascinated me is that, like, at the level of elite competition, and this is a theory I have, you could tell me if it applied in the CrossFit world, but elite competitors, one of the sort of under-discussed skills that they have is an incredible tolerance for boring.
Okay.
Like, that's what holds a lot of people back from elite performance, is because to get to that elite performance, you kind of got to live a pretty regimented, sort of Groundhog Day, same thing, same time, every day, day after day type of life. And that can get pretty boring. And like, for most, average Joes and Janes, they're going to get sick of that. It might not even be a discipline thing necessarily. It's just like, I don't have the tolerance for this. Like, they start asking themselves questions like, is this worth it? Do I really want this that much?
Why do you think it's boring? I'm curious.
Well, I would imagine, I've never really been an elite competitor in,
You've had a job, you've had a passion, you've had something that you wake up in your day, it revolves around every day, right?
Right.
That some would look at and consider boring.
Yeah, you're right. I guess the tolerance for boring is like maybe to the nth degree. Right? Because it's just like you just said, you that Andrew Huberman-esque every minute of every day, like, I am moving towards this singular goal. And, I remember listening to an interview with, I can't remember who it was. I think it was like an Olympic wrestler or something right before the games. And he's just like, yeah, like everyone wants to interview me all the time. He's like, my life for the last 2 years has been incredibly boring. He's like, I eat the same food at the same time every day. I go to sleep at the same time. I train this time. And he's like, not really hanging out with friends that much. I'm not really going out in the town. I don't know what's in the news. I haven't seen any of the recent movies. This is what I'm doing because this is the end goal. And or maybe boring's the wrong word, and it's like predictability, or
I mean, it's boring from someone's point of view, right? But I guarantee you that Olympic athlete understands exactly what he's doing, and he loves it. Right. He loves it because he's passionate about whether it's developing himself as an athlete or trying to win the gold medal, whatever that is. He's making very specific sacrifices, and his mindset is a little crazy to anybody else who looks at him and says, hey, that looks really boring.
Right.
Like, to me, it wasn't boring, if I wanted to do something different, I did something different. Like, I always kind of looked at it from the widest lens possible. Like, yeah, you can't be like, some people are so regimented with their day that they just do the same thing every day. I think that's crazy. I think it's boring, like you said. Yeah. Right.
It's also, too, I think it's like, for elite competitors, I think they have and again, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, but in general, like, there's these two type of, like, personality types. There's divergers and there's convergers. And basically, you think about, like, I always talk about, like, Johnny Cash. He's a musician that I really enjoy. So, like, you read about his life, he didn't do anything else. Like, music was his thing. He couldn't tell you anything about anything, didn't know how to fix his car, didn't know how to, what was going on in politics, had no idea he was playing music. Whereas, like, someone like myself, like, just to be transparent, I've always struggled with, like, the varied interest. I really want to focus on this. I love playing guitar just as much as I love doing jiu-jitsu, just as much as I love bodybuilding, just as much as I love, the technology, whatever the case may be. Yeah. And it becomes hard to kind of have that one thing that you just go all in on. Like,
I get that.
Have you noticed that about yourself, or maybe the other competitors that you dealt with, where you're like, maybe it's that old, like, what is it, Musashi, who said, through one thing you see all things. Like, maybe that philosophy just works for you guys.
Yeah, I'm the same way as you. I get that. I like the variance and the doing different things. So that's one of the things that I did love about CrossFit. Was that
interesting?
We did the open workout last Friday. I'm still sore. It's Wednesday. My week has been thrown off, like, training wise, working out wise, because I'm so sore from this one workout that I did last Friday that as much as I wanted to squat today, I can't because my legs are still sore. So I'm like, okay, I went for a run today. So I did some running. So it was different. I got outside, did something different. Yes, it's not that varied, but you get to wake up and you get to pick the thing that you're going to do today, and it's something that's different and challenging you in different ways each day, which I like.
I like that answer because it's CrossFit in many ways is the sport for people who have those multiple competing interests, right? Because you get to do a little bit of all of it, right? You get to do the conditioning.
I will tell you, one of my favorite things about the CrossFit Games training was that you were solely focused on one thing. And that being, I have not been that driven to one specific thing in a long time since I did that. And I, parts of me look back and be like, I want to be solely driven like that towards one thing again. But I know that that's not where I am right now. Like, I'm juggling multiple things at once, and I have to learn how to do that as well.
Yeah, there's almost like peace in that like clear singular goal where you're like everything else is secondary to this one thing, and not everybody has that opportunity, especially as like your responsibilities grow in life and like you have a business, a family, and all those things. It's like such a cool thing to have had that time of your life to be so singularly focused.
Yes, it was such a blessing in the sense that now I got to see what it was like from that point of view. Yeah, so I wouldn't go back and change any of it,
And Ben, obviously winning the games, we talked about how that impacted the business, but it was also a long time ago, right? Like any potential boom or whatever like that life cycle has lived itself out, and CrossFit Krypton's still doing great. So, being around for 14 years, you've seen not only the way that the CrossFit space has evolved, but also how owning an affiliate has evolved and changed through the years. So what do you think separates the gyms that are thriving still, 14, 15 years into the CrossFit phenomenon from those that kind of burned out after the first few years?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a ton of different reasons, right? I can think of a few. I mean, treating it like a business rather than treating it like a hobby. That might be one of them. Staying true to the methodology might be another one. I've always had the mindset and mentality that if you've ever followed CrossFit.com for a period of time, you look at some of those workouts and you're like, I can't do that. What am I doing today? Why would I? That's not a workout. I'm gonna go do something else. I'm gonna go be a hybrid athlete or something. I'm gonna go do something different. That was a joke at hybrid athletes. They just see things they can't do or don't want to do and don't do them, So like the whole point about CrossFit.com and following CrossFit.com is that, you're exposed to all kinds of different things, but the workout challenges the very beginner in the gym and it challenges the best CrossFit athlete in the world, or the best athlete in the world. The workout of the day should be challenging for both of them. And I think that your programming in your gym has to align with something like that. And if it's not, if you don't create the right culture in the gym with the people that you have around you, that can be difficult. I don't know, managing people is really hard. So managing people, all kinds of things. You might be renting a building rather than owning the building, and then your owner doubles the rent and you can't pay it anymore. You might have some crazy thing like COVID and shuts down half the gym. I mean, COVID was insane. They forced people to close down their gyms. That was crazy. So a lot of gyms closed down from that. So it's just like over time, different reasons add up and take away different gyms for whatever reason, And it's not easy to run a gym, but if you can do it well, it's really fun. Doesn't feel like a job.
It's how about coaching development? Because I imagine, certainly off the games victory, I mean, you probably had a lot of people come to Krypton and like, oh, I want to be coached by Ben. But you can't be everywhere all at once. You can't coach, 100 classes a week or whatever the total is, right? So at some point, it was that delegation and the trust to be like, hey, I'm going to let you coach on my behalf. And
we have 15 different coaches here at Krypton. Everybody's pretty much part-time. We have one or two full-time people, including myself. And I just fill in whenever it's needed. But I'm not the best coach of the world. I wouldn't say that I'm like, don't hold me up and say, hey, this is the best coach just because he's the best athlete. I just really care, and I think that you can cover a lot of, coaching deficiencies in the meantime while you're trying to learn if you just really care about the people in your class. Like if you approach something and you're like, oh, I don't, maybe I did the wrong modification today, or maybe I gave that person wrong advice. You wouldn't even go back and think about that and try to be a little bit of a better coach if you didn't care about the person. So I think that it just all begins with, do you care about the people that are here and why they're here? And I think if you do that, you're a good coach. You're going to be a good coach. You're eventually, you might be just beginning your journey, but you're going to start learning. You're going to go reaching out and finding new ways to teach, new information, gather things together so that you can give them away. And that all requires just care and attention to that. So I think it just begins with that.
Yeah, that's actually my next question. I was going to say, if there's two qualities of coaches, you got your IQ and your EQ, and we'll define IQ as knowledge of the methodology, knowledge of coaching cues, technique, etc., kind of the, physiology type of stuff. And then we got the EQ, which is caring about people, understanding how to to the psychology of getting someone to make a change or implement something different. If you could only choose one and you had to develop the other side, so you get the most knowledgeable coach, or you got to develop the EQ, or the most caring, people-centric, sort of also like excited and, you know, performative coach, and you got to develop their methodology knowledge, which one would you choose?
That's a really good question. I think you can always learn the details and the physiology side and the movement side. You can always learn that, but the care side, I think, is more difficult to. You either have that or you don't.
Right.
You know, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and I've noticed that as a theme too, is that you're almost like looking for the model of the person, and then you can fill in the technical coaching details later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, obviously too, like you guys, you know, you provide programming for other affiliates, so like that model can be learned in many different ways, right? But like at the end of the day, like you are the distributor of the product. You're also kind of, in a weird way, I would imagine, as a coach, sort of an ongoing salesperson, right? Because, you know, it's delicate if someone has a bad class, or they don't feel like they got the attention they deserved, or something happens, like, you know, you're kind of continuing to sell these people every day, right? So I agree with you.
So like it makes me think about one of the things I like to think about is there's a responsibility to the athlete too when they go into a gym. A lot of people, as an athlete or somebody, they come into the gym and they expect to be handed everything on a silver platter. It's like when you have to come to the coach just like the coach comes to you, kind of thing. It's like there needs to be a mutual respect, a mutual seeking after whatever it is you're coming there for the day. You know, like there needs to be some mutual understanding, so there has to be some dialogue. You know, it's kind of like, I always think of it like you go to church. Like, you don't go to church to just sit down, drink your coffee, and listen to someone tell you the sermon. You know, you're supposed to go to church and participate.
Right.
You know, in the same way you're supposed to go to the gym, CrossFit gym, and participate. You know, like, there's people around you that are new or newer than you are. You can help them out. You can introduce yourself. You can ask questions to the coach that other people might be thinking. Yeah, I mean, you can be an integral part of the community on a daily basis, which is you don't get to do that in very many spaces. All the other spaces are invaded by phones and everybody paying attention to something else that's not the space that they're in the moment they're in it. You know, so it's a cool atmosphere and environment that you don't really get in other places, in other gyms.
There's a new pandemic, and it's tripods in gyms.
Yeah.
Can't stand it.
Well, I don't see it. I'm not in other gyms, but we only have to do it here for like the open and stuff, people videotaping their workouts. And it's the worst when you have to videotape your workout, because you got to do all the standards and measurements, and you got to make sure it's right and all that. It's just annoying.
Hey, I live in Austin, where there's a lot of influencer type folks, so every gym in the area, it's actually very well like posted. You walk into a gym and it's like, our tripod policy. It's like front and center, and I was like, what has become of the world?
That's hilarious.
It's a real thing.
I didn't know that.
Well, it's funny because I want to go back to the hybrid athlete thing, because this is the epicenter of the hybrid athlete. And can I share with you, Ben, my criticism of the hybrid athletes, and you tell me what you think about it. So I think that in many ways, and don't get me wrong, like we talked to the guys at Hyroxis, and I'm not saying anything about them specifically. Like, I think it's awesome. That's a great event. I mean, they're bringing people together. I'm just talking about the general idea of being a hybrid athlete that anybody sort of gets addicted to via social media, which is my point. I think it's almost
any of that. They're just going to hear this next thing that you're going to say.
Right.
But I think posting it everywhere.
I think in many ways it is kind of like one of the first fitness social media phenomenons, because what I think happens, like, I have a thing that most people care about the way they look more than anything else from a fitness perspective. Like, that's the number one thing people are going for. Okay. Like, we could pretend like that's not the case, but it's just my personal opinion that is what is ultimately driving people's interest in fitness, at least initially. So I think happened is a lot of people who had really great physiques started running. And now they're saying that I'm a hybrid athlete. And that there becomes this idea that, there's this unknown training methodology that's going to make you as jacked as a bodybuilder, but also be able to run like half marathons. And my take is, I don't think that really exists, at least in the way that they're proclaiming that it does. I think a bunch of really jacked people just started running and posting it on social media, and now are selling products as a result. That's my take. I'm interested to hear yours.
Yeah, interesting. I always say the hybrid athletes are they're CrossFitters that don't like to do the skills. I mean, it's what's different, you know. Don't other than they don't like to try new things, or they don't like to be exposed to things that they're not good at. It can be all kinds of things. I'm not sure, but you can sit and you can argue either side. Not taking away, like, these people that do the hybrid athlete stuff, it's impressive, but they're specialists in those two things that they do, you know? I just think that I'm more of the traditional CrossFit belief that the generalist is more useful. So I think that the generalist is more useful in everything. And I think that, like, here's an example. Our future, people have no idea what's coming with AI. And the fact that we're entering this new age of, people are going to be very surprised what's coming, right? Because most people don't know. But I think that the generalist is going to be much more useful in this world of AI, because the AI is going to be the specialist in everything, right? So I think the person that can put things together and make sense of the world from multiple different facets, not just one place, is going to be the most useful person in the future. You know, the one that kind of has a little bit of knowledge about everything and is able to put pieces together. And I think the same thing applies to fitness. Like the people that are going to be the healthiest for the longest are the ones that don't specialize in one specific thing, but they have usefulness across multiple different modalities and events and time frames and exercises and all of that knowledge. Even they'll be able to understand their body a little bit better and be able to then live longer. I just think the generalists are going to be more useful in the future, and I think CrossFit's proving that point. Even an athlete in sports, or even intellectuals, people on that front, like when they specialize, they specialize in one area, but they found that the people that are the best in those areas, the highest at the peak, right? They were the most broad in their base. Like, they didn't specialize at a young age. They specialized only when the time was right. You know, kind of like we were talking about with my fitness thing and winning the CrossFit Games. It's like, I really specialized just for that 1 year that I won, to be honest. Like, yes, I trained hard, but I like solely dove in that 1 year. And everything lined up, and I won the games. I think that's the same thing across most different modalities too. Like, and even on not just the physical side, but on the intellectual side too. I think that, or on the skill side, like people playing in musical instruments, that kind of thing. It's I think that they specialize after they have a broad, general, and inclusive understanding of many different things, and that makes them the best.
Yeah, you know, it's a tale as old as time when there's like this great athlete, and there's like, oh, how is, you know, I'm from Philadelphia originally, so I always think about Joel Embiid, and he's 7'4", but he moves like a cat. And it's like, oh, how does he have this footwork? He played soccer. You know, Steve Nash was another one who was, when I was growing up, he was the MVP a couple of years in a row. And they're like, you know, he had this incredible hand-eye coordination. His footwork was amazing. We grew up playing baseball and soccer. So it's just like, I agree with you. And even in your own journey, you know, people look and say, oh, you must have been such a specialist. But what you're saying is that if you look at your whole training life, 95% of it was generalist. It was just this 5% sort of sprint that was really, really, really specialized. Or even to your point, hybrid athletes. I thought that was a good point. I've never thought of it that way. They're proclaiming to be generalists, but in reality, they just have two skills, running and some variation of lifting. And they're kind of leaving all the other physical modalities off the table to some degree.
And people argue that about CrossFit too. Like, they'll look at a CrossFitter and they'll say, well, you're just a specialist in these 150 movements. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, if you
guilty as charged.
Yeah, it's true. But like, take me out of there and put me into something that's real life, that's in real life or applicable, and I guarantee you, I'll pick it up faster than the other person. You know. Yeah,
exposure.
There's an argument to both sides.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of it, I know, because I enjoy bodybuilding. Like, that's my modality of choice. But man, it doesn't really. Stop shaking your head, Regan. I don't appreciate that.
We got to get you out of that.
Good luck. I'm team meathead till I die. But
how long have you? I'm curious. How long have you been doing bodybuilding?
I'm just a casual gym bro at this point. So I've never competed. Don't have any plans to compete. But I switched over to more hypertrophy focused training probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I had a herniated disc, and I used to power lift.
Okay.
That was originally what I got into, and you would appreciate this when I say, I've told this story before. People are probably bored of it, but I set the national record for my age group in the bench press for 5 minutes because the guy who went after me annihilated my record. So for 5 whole minutes, it was like the 18 and under class USAPL. Like, you know, I'm 34, so this would have been 16 years ago.
Yeah.
But herniated disc playing football and just could never really get back to heavy lower body barbell training. It just became like a risk reward thing. So slowly gravitated over hypertrophy style training. I love it. It's like a moving meditation for me. You know, like I put the headphones on, I'm listening to a podcast, I'm listening to music, and I'm just kind of going to war. I'm competing with myself for that, 60 to 90 minutes. So I love it. But to your point, when I go to jiu-jitsu class, when I do a Muay Thai class, I have to relearn quite a lot because I'm not being exposed to a variety of different movement patterns. It's just push, pull, squat, hinge, carry over and over and over and over again.
Have you tried sprinkling in Yeah, like you clearly sprinkle in cardio or conditioning, right?
Yeah, I do my like zone 2 and I do like my 10,000 steps a day, but I would like to get back to a little bit more like, for lack of a better phrase, the huffing and puffing variation of cardio, like an assault bike or something to that extent.
Yeah. No, I think about bodybuilding and I wonder, because you look at some of the athletes and it's like some of them look like bodybuilders.
Yeah.
My question in my head is like, okay, would the increase in work capacity, even if you work out, let's say you do one workout a week, one CrossFit workout a week, would that increase in work capacity make you a better bodybuilder?
I think so. I think the energy systems, just the performance, anaerobically, aerobically, I think that's got to have some carryover for sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay. So sales pitch. I like it.
Give it a go.
It's working. It's working,
Give it a go.
honestly, because you said 2 things today, Ben. I like that. That's a good pitch.
Because it doesn't have to be like you do a CrossFit workout every day. Like people come in here 5 or 6 days a week in the gym, and I'm like, take a rest day.
Right.
Go do something else. Like don't come in here 6 days a week. That's not because I don't want to see you 6 days a week. It's just that 6 days a week is crazy. Like you got to balance it out with something else. Balance it out with bodybuilding.
Well, and you also said,
I guarantee you it will make you a better bodybuilder.
And you also said that CrossFit is a great option for the generalists or the divergers, and that's me. So you got 2 good lines, Sabe. I'm going to give it to you, man. You got 2 good ones today. I'll be thinking about this. I'll be thinking, and we'll see. I think that actually is sort of like a really good way to phrase it too. It's like CrossFit is a great, and I think functional fitness in general, whatever modality, is a really good complement. To your point, like you could be a bodybuilder, you could be somebody who's just a typical gym bro, but that one day a week is going to expose you to a bunch of new movement patterns. It's going to make you more of a variable, functional athlete, and then it's going to improve all these aerobic base and anaerobic base stuff. So
I mean, I think about it like bodybuilding all the time. I mean, I think about it like in a session. Let me think about what we're doing today in the gym. Let's say yesterday. Imagine you're doing thrusters and pull-ups. Your workout's thrusters and pull-ups. Your workout's 2159 thruster pull-ups. I'll just give a super easy example. It's Fran, right? I'm going to walk into the gym and I'm going to warm up, and my warm-up's going to be, 3 to 1 minutes on the bike with some ski erg in between, with some shoulder rolls, with some stretching. Maybe I'll go through some squats, some air squats, and then I'll go through some PVC pipe thrusters, and then I'll do some barbell thrusters, and then I'll get on the pull-up bar and I'll do some kip swings, I'll do some scat pull-ups, and then I'll do some squats or squat jumps, and then I'll do some pull-ups, and then I'll do some barbell thrusters and some pull-ups. And I'm working my way up to do this one set that I'm going to do, which is just this one max effort bodybuilding set of 21-15-9 thrusters and pull-ups. I'm going to blow myself up. I'm going to see what I can do. Like I'm going to go to the point of I can't do another good rep under good positioning and proper fatigue without losing my positions and without losing my lower lumbar and all that stuff, right? Keeping my core tight. I'm going to go to failure for that 21-15-9, and that's going to take me anywhere from 2.5 minutes if you're some of the best in the world to 10 to 15 minutes if it's your first time doing it, something like that. And then after that workout, I'm going to hop on the bike, I'm going to cool down, I'm going to stretch a little bit, and then I'm going to go on my way. But I think about it like I just picked 2 movements, just like you would go in for like bench and back day, right? Like you'd like to do. I'm going to do chest and back.
Yep.
So I'm going to pick 6 movements, and I'm just going to superset these movements, and I'm going to do just 8 to 10 reps or 8 to 12 reps or whatever it might be. You're not going to get the same stimulus as if you come in here and you go nice and easy, and then you just ramp it up into max effort, high intensity, and then cool it down. You're just picking 2 movements. You're picking the thruster and you're picking the pull-up. So these movements they're movements you might do even as a bodybuilder, but most likely not. Like with the thruster, it's a little bit more compound and painful, but that's the whole point of it being a functional movement, is that your body's supposed to go through these ranges of motion. So you're just testing yourself in a different way, kind of like a bodybuilder would, but you're doing this other thing. You're doing something that's just called a different name. You're timing your workout, and that's my test. It's not necessarily because you're also tracking the weight just like a bodybuilder would track. You're tracking your reps just like a bodybuilder would track. You're just tracking your time as well. That's just, you're adding in another variable. You're adding in another. It's not like you're taking anything away. It's not like it's not like you're doing anything. I don't know. It's just so funny that it's just personal preference at some point. Like you think that day is boring. I think that it's not. Well, because I understand it a little bit differently than you do.
The other thing I would say too is the social benefit. Like there's one thing I will say about bodybuilding. It is a solo, in your own head type of endeavor. Whereas CrossFit, I personally believe the reason that it became the phenomenon it did and is still around 15 years later, when most fitness trends, phenomenons kind of come and go much faster than that. is the community part. It's 100% the community part. So I think that's also, a huge element of it. Like being able to do that, get those extra training effects while also being sort of entrenched in a new community. That's the ultimate pitch.
You think that's going to be more or less prevalent in 5 years?
Yeah.
I don't see that going away at all. I see that only getting worse or more necessary,
Right,
Yeah.
right. Third place is, the whole thing. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think I've said it once, I'll say it again, but I think that the fitness space in general has a real opportunity over the next 5 to 10 years because, to your point, the rise of certain technologies like AI, like we're only going to have less and less reasons to leave our house over the next 10 years. And, if fitness can occupy that space, I think there's a ton of potential there.
Who doesn't need it, I mean, I just started a Legends class at the gym, and I call it the Legends class. It's 55 and over. It's my favorite class. I coach 3 days a week, and it's great because they're just coming in to sweat, and I'm pushing them a little harder than they want to go. And that's all they need to do. They just need to be a little bit on their edge of making progress. It's like you just get stuck in your ways and not thinking that you need to make progress or not thinking that you can make progress for whatever reason. And the class is great. It started with a few people, and now it's 12 plus every day, and it's great. It's fun.
Oh, it's awesome.
And everybody needs it, especially people that are 50.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ben, when I foray into CrossFit, I'm going to take your Legends class.
Yeah, come on.
I think that's my speed. I think I could start there. Me and the Legends. I'm going to be
whatever
a
it takes to get whoever into the gym, and I will tell them whatever because I know as soon as they come in, they're either going to love it and they're there and they're bought in and they get it, or they're out like day 2. You either see them, you either see them all the time or you never see them again.
Well, Ben, we're here at the hour mark. We'll let you get back to the rest of your day, man. But very, very appreciative of your time today, man. This is a fun conversation.
I enjoyed it.
It's great to check in. It's great to just kind of go through the whole chronology as somebody who's seen CrossFit from the very start and has experienced all of the ups and downs. So appreciate you making the time. Reganne, we'll put some information about Krypton's programming offering in the workout marketplace in the description. Yep. Ben, any other places you'd like to send people, or if people want to get in touch? Is Instagram your thing?
No, Instagram's not my thing.
Okay.
A long time. Instagram is a cesspool, man. Don't get on Instagram.
Indeed.
No, come to the gym. Email us. I'm not really anywhere else.
You know where to find them.
Yeah.
You know where to find them.
If you email me, I will get back with you. CrossFit Krypton. Email the gym.
Sounds good, Ben. Well, thank you for making the time again, man. It's been a pleasure. All the best to you and Krypton, and hopefully we'll get to catch up again soon.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Ben.
Take care.